population, welcome off the rack. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today we did both issues of Midnighter, both Midnighter number 1 and the most recent Midnighter number 2, just for context. I figured this week we really should actually cover all the context for Midnighter because of not only its acclaim, but also the fact that it's a new character, I think, to all of us. I'm not familiar with Midnighter at all.
Nope.
So, but I know that he's existed before. So let's kick things off with our initial thoughts of Midnighter.
This is a weird book.
Right? A little weird. That said, I thought it was really competently made. The art and the writing complement each other really well, and the characters are all incredibly unique. Their own characters, they're all very stand on their own. They require zero context to get who they are and what they do. They all have their own motivations, and there's a lot of subtlety to this book that I found to be kind of unexpected, I guess you could say.
I loved this book. I absolutely loved it. And you know why I love this book?
No. Because
it's like an image book under the DC label.
Yeah.
As I was reading it, I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. Because I'm used to this feel. It was like a hug. It's nice to see something so, not what they normally do, be folded into DC.
What do you guys think of the writing for this title?
The writing is very well done. I feel like the characters had very unique voices. The action that was going on was very well scripted and explained very well. So, really well done.
I liked it a lot. I liked his personality, his voice. I'm trying really hard not to just compare this to anything else, because it honestly isn't like anything else out there right now.
Yeah. This is a combination of the art and the writing, which is why I'm going to segue into the art from this, from my point here. But I felt like it was a very violent book, and I felt very unseated by it. The writing itself was good, as I said. The story is straightforward. It's like Midnighter himself. The story doesn't really hide anything. It's very in your face about it. It doesn't play things close to the chest. It's very raw and open and willing to share itself with you. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said before, I wasn't expecting anything, and the only thing I read about it was the best thing ever, blah, blah, blah. Like, I read nothing but hyperbole. I didn't read anything story-wise, so I didn't have any idea of what to expect, which is good, and I wanted that. So, yeah, from there, I guess we could talk about the art, which further unseated me because it felt like an incredibly violent book, despite there not being a lot of violence in it. Midnighter is a violent character. And of course he's a masked vigilante, which means he's going to get into all kinds of unpleasant violence. But for the writing standpoint, it's not any less or more violence than you get in any superhero book. Especially with issue 2, there's a lot more gratuitous violence that serves the story really well.
Yeah.
We can talk about that in a minute, but I don't know, I just felt really uncomfortable while reading it sometimes. And I think it was because of the art. It was because of the panel layouts. There was random focuses on key imagery that you wouldn't expect to find in a mainstream comic, but might find more in like an independent movie. Where you're like, we're having this fight, and we're looking at these key elements from the fight that might inform Midnighter on how to gain the upper hand necessarily. But, it was, for whatever reason, I was just like, ugh, this is bizarre. It was just, I was very much a fish out of water. Not to say that I didn't like it. I thought it was really cool.
I liked it a lot of the times. There were moments in issue 2 where I was like, this goes beyond the rawness that they're going for to unfinished. There were just some moments I was like, you didn't put enough into these panels. And it's really more or less when they're having just standard dialogue. It's not every moment, but I just remember in issue 2, there's just a couple of pages I was like, what the hell happened to the art? Like, I was really on board, and then there's just some moments where I was just like... There were some issues I had early on in issue 1 with some of the action where I really had a hard time trying to follow what the artist was doing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier with the random
right,
panels.
I totally, I see where you're coming from with that, but, it just felt like the artist got a little lost along the way, because so many other things worked.
Yes.
Action later on in the book really works.
Yeah.
And it just felt like they were excited and ambitious and wanted to try new things, and it didn't translate for me.
Right.
And that's not saying that it's bad. It's just that there were a couple pages where I was like, I don't know what's happening. Moving on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure how we got from this point to that point, but I don't care because I just want to keep going.
The only thing that struck me as weird about it was in the second book, when the story seemed to jump around from where and when we were going.
Yes.
That was a little disjointed for me, only because I didn't really understand why we were going to certain places and how it was helping the story. Mm-hmm. But I was still on board for it, so overall it worked.
I liked that a lot. Like, I love the fact that, like, he went random places, like, to Russia and to Oakland, you know what I mean? Like,
the funny thing is with that, I put myself in that position, and I was like, I would do that all the time.
Well, yeah.
Like, I would use it.
I thought that really informed his character.
Yes.
Because, and here's something we haven't even touched on, and because it's not a big deal. I'm going to say that right now. It's not a big deal that this is a part of the book. In fact, it's so, in my opinion, folded in naturally that I'm only mentioning it because, like, I want to talk about what it informs about his personality, but the fact that, like, he's a gay individual, all right, and that is not what I'm going to say that informs his personality. What informs his personality is that he's using his teleportation doors to impress like his dates, and like that to me, I was like, that's amazing.
The fact that he even used the fact that he's a superhero to impress people.
I know.
Because online profile is just him as Midnight.
Yeah, and I thought that was so funny and so great. So like when he went to Russia and like he's just telling them about his day essentially, and like that's why we're cutting in between them. I was like, that's perfect. Yeah, that is perfect because I'm like, I know who this guy is now.
Yep,
all right.
I totally get it. Yeah, it was cool. See you guys next time in another episode of Off the Rack. Pick up Midnighter number 1 and 2 because if you read number 2, you know it's cool, but I think you need number 1 in order to really like see where it's going or see how it progresses.
It's to understand who he is.
Yes. Yeah. So see you guys next time. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long.